Good afternoon. I don't know exactly what the time is, but anyway, good day. And thank you for inviting me to this very exciting event. I'm here, or I think that I was invited in order to wish you the best, to wish the graduates, the new graduates, a very successful future, a very fascinating occupation, the best. And based on the speech that your Prime Minister gave 2 days ago in Mumbai, I think that there is a hope. He talked very much about supporting science, basic science and technology, and also about education. And he highly recommended or highly wished that the kids or young people from families that cannot afford education should get it for their children. And I had a feeling that he's going to support it. And if so, very nice. He also talked about no limits in science and technology, collaborations with the world, and I think that that's also very good for every country, especially for India. So actually, if you read his speech, I have nothing to do here, just to say that I hope it will happen. But I do want to relate to some points in his speech and in life. And I want to start with education for non-privileged, for kids that otherwise wouldn't get it, because this relates to me. I was raised in a very poor family with parents that loved me, but knew nothing about science. My mother didn't even know normal mathematics, 5th grade mathematics. My father was always ill, and when he died, I was 11. There was another little sister at home, and my mother had to fill out a form from the income tax. She couldn't make it. She spoke 4 languages. She was very good in handwork. And I, a girl of 11 years old, had to help her to find what is 8% of whatever the number was. I think that I sensed, maybe indirectly, and maybe I didn't think about it, but I sensed that education is really important. Education and knowledge and the possibility to use it at the needed time. I was also blessed by teachers that understood me. And I think that there is an overall take-home lesson from it. I will just tell you 2 or 3 incidents in my very young time. In the kindergarten, we lived in a neighborhood that the schools were of very low quality and still divided to boys and girls still learned to go to the kitchen or to knit. My kindergarten teacher approached my parents and said, this girl should go to a better school, which was great. But the better school was far away and it was difficult to send me there. So the kindergarten teacher extended my stay in her kindergarten, and every day in the afternoon she taught me. There were another 6 children. She taught us what grade 1 studies. So when I reached the age of grade 2, she took me with her hands to the best school in Jerusalem. And I was admitted because she taught us enough. Same thing happened to me. After my father died, my mother moved with the family to another city, to Tel Aviv, because her sisters were living there and they were helping her. And again, I was assigned to a very good school, but I didn't want to study there because it was too strict in my opinion. I wanted another school. But the other school was extremely expensive, was much more than my mother's salary, and together with all what I put into the family because from the age of 11 I worked. I was working in many jobs, not only babysitting. I was cleaning homes, I was cleaning stairs, I was carrying things from the supermarket, I was helping all people. I was doing every job. I was writing, I was erasing, whatever I was told. Still, the two of us together didn't make enough for that very expensive school. I met my teacher the last year of the what we call at that time elementary school, and he looked at me and he said, "You look not very happy. You should be happy. You're a good student, and tomorrow school starts." So I told him, "Yeah, but I'm going to school I don't want." So he said, "What do you want?" And I told him. So he said, "Okay, let's go there." We went there. He took me. I was less than 14 years old. We went to that school and he made sure that all the teachers examined me because it was the last day before school and I was admitted for free. Not only for free, the headmaster gave me a job to help school and to help the community. A lot of hours I had to put in it, but I also got fellowship, not only free tuition. So twice that it happened in my life that I was directed by my teachers to what was more suitable for me than what would happen otherwise. And I think the take-home lesson from it is all of us, all of your graduates, all of your teachers, myself, the doctors, the lawyers, the technology people, the engineers, all of us will interact with younger people. We want to make sure that everybody can study, and among them, the poor and the rich should be directed to what best to him or her. And I think that if we can do this, and your graduates can join, this will be a fantastic future, not only for yourself, for your whole country, maybe for the whole world. I want to relate to 2 or 3 more points in my life that I think can show my opinion and my opinion of what is good. Many people ask me, what happened after you got the prize, the Nobel Prize? What happened to you? So I hope that I am the same person. I still have my old friends. I have very, very good connections with my family. And I have my lab. And I'm lucky that by exception I'm allowed to work. But on top of it, I can meet young people, many more young people that I could meet earlier, and many more young people that listen to me, or at least want to listen. And I think that I'm trying to take advantage of that and get a spark in the eyes of the young people when I talk about science, when I talk about research, and when I talk about technology, or anything that everybody is fit to do and wants to do. So the take-home lesson from here, when I talk to the kids, they think that I'm a scientist, so I will tell them, be scientists. No, I'm not doing this, and I think the opposite. I think that every young person, when still can choose, should choose what he or she can do best and love best and can perform and can have passion for it. And if it's science or technology or medicine, has curiosity. These are the properties that, in my opinion, should be the driving force of the future generations that should have much more knowledge than the past generation and enjoy it much more and make use of it to the benefit of the world. Now, the benefit of the world is not only new drugs or new machines or new high-tech. This is all good, but also new knowledge, because knowledge comes when people look for it, work hard for it, and not always immediately used. Sometimes it takes years, hundreds of years. For instance, electricity. people knew about the possibility of sparks, of streams of electricity, still, I think, in the more or less prehistoric time. They saw the lightnings, but until they learned it and until we used it, many, many years passed. And I can bring many more examples. I'm sure you know them as good as me. So in my opinion, my own contribution to mankind, to humanity, was intended to increase the knowledge, to understand life processes. The life process that I was very interested in it, was the translation of the genetic instructions, the genetic code, into the cell workers. They are called proteins for those that are doing science here, but that's not important. What important thing is every and all living cell, bacteria, fish, cockroach, rat, elephant, horse, human being, we all are made of cells. Each cell is growing and dividing, or growing and reaching its size, and each cell has its own life, and the life is facilitated mostly by life workers, proteins. And the instructions how to make these proteins are in the genetic code. This is why the genetic code is important, otherwise it's really worth nothing. So I wanted to understand how this information going in to make the cell workers, and I was ready to go into any difficulty or any crazy idea about it. When I started this research, I knew that some other very well-established groups have started before me and failed. But I still went in. I can't go into all the details, but I want to tell you a little anecdote from 10 years earlier, before I started. I came back from my postdoc in the United States, and I said that I want to understand how biology works in detail. The department chairman, the chairman of my department, was so happy about it. He always dreamt, he said he always dreamt. He was a student earlier in Oxford and worked on such processes, but could not do this. When he immigrated to Israel, he didn't have enough facilities. He just waited until some younger person will come and say, and this was me, the younger person. So he said, when I just say that I have a little bit of experience from 1 year in MIT, but I'm ready to start, he said, oh, you deserve everything. You will be special. I will give you a room for yourself, an office for yourself. All the other young people had to share offices. I didn't get any money or any lab, but I got an office for myself. You know what was my office, the office he gave me? You won't even dream. It was a toilet, a restroom. At the end of the lab that nobody used, he put a piece of wood on the seat and a piece of wood on the sink. No shelves, no window, no nothing. And this was my first office that I should have been very happy about it. Okay, so now let's come back to the beginning of my studies. By this time, this office was a bit better furnished. And I wanted to understand the process of the translation of the genetic code. And I knew that many good groups failed. The reason that I, being a very young scientist and hardly any experience, the reason I went into it is that I had another idea. I thought that I understand why they failed. I really don't want to go into detail. You can read it all. But I was trying to do things that others did not. I found some collaborators, 3 or 4 in the whole world, and this is why I talk about collaboration, which is very important. And I found more people that laughed at me and made jokes about me, ridiculed me. They called me the stupid, the dreamer, the fantasioner. Some of them called call me the village fool, some of them, many of them try to say, she doesn't understand what she is doing, and a few even say that I'm lying. But when I went on, I was able to convince these few people, and with very little resources, I got to a situation that I proved to myself that we progress. This was the important thing for me. We progressed very slowly, but we progressed. So I don't want to tell you the whole story because it's not a place and I don't have the possibilities. But for 16 years, except for these few people that were ready to collaborate or expected a bit more than the rest of the world, I was alone in the whole world. There were some funding agencies that thought that this project is so important, so they funded modestly. After 15 years, I clearly was able to convince in the feasibility of this project. And all of a sudden, I had some, how can I call it, hitchhikers, sitting in my little car. That repeated what we did. We meanwhile developed several new techniques and new methodologies. They repeated everything. They took even the sample. And people started to tell me, aren't you upset? To ask me, aren't you upset that this very strong American, British universities are repeating? And I was not. And I think it's very good, again, very good take-home lesson. I was happy that people stopped calling me liars. People could repeat, so I was not a liar anymore. People put a lot of effort on it, so it was not stupid anymore. For me, this was important personally, but more than this, philosophically. Science and the world, humanity, does not care who found the result, who added the information, who discovered. For science, for humanity, it's not important. It's important that there is new information. It's important that it can be used. And this is and still, was and still is my attitude. So actually, I enjoyed that there is more activity in this field. And if you want to have some numbers, when I started, there were about 10 publications a year relating to this question. A year after we determined the structures and understood the function, there were 3,000, 5,000, and until now. And the most of them, 99% of them, are based on the discovery. So when people ask me, how did you feel when you got the phone call about the prize? My answer is very modest. I was very happy and I didn't say no. They asked, do you want to get the prize? I didn't say no. But actually, my real overwhelming happiness and excitement was with the discovery, much more than with the prize. So take a lesson from this to young people that just go into science or any other technology, any other profession. Don't even think about prizes. Do what you do best and interesting for you. What you can do, what you can enjoy on a daily basis, and when the discovery comes, if it's science. Don't even bother yourself with prizes. They come or they don't come. The most important is the addition of knowledge to the world. And I think with this I will finish. And whatever you want to do, science, technology, make better products, better high-tech, manage it, get the law part of it, the legal part of it, whatever you want to do, Find out what you do best and try to focus on it. Good luck.